And my camera just went screwy again.
It does that every time.
Well, I just found out just before we got in here what was causing it. And when I shut down Thunderbird, I had no problems. I was able to move back and forth without any problem. But with Thunderbird fired up, every time I would touch my mouse to Thunderbird, the camera would go out.
Huh.
Seems legit.
Anyway, we're live. Hello, everybody.
Good morning, afternoon.
Whatever.
It's still morning here. Good morning.
Yeah, we're a little somewhat smaller crew today, but still, this would be our perfect opportunity to take cheap shots at Simon for not making it in.
Of course, Simon.
Well, PubCon is done in Austin. Sounds like they had a good time.
Sounds like they had a good time. It sounds like they had some interesting information. You know, sometimes those things, not a lot sparks my interest, but PubCon seemed to.
Well, they had some good speakers.
Yeah.
I saw more posts and information about the dinners and stuff everybody was having than I did about the conference. So,
Well, the conference is a curricular activity.
yeah.
It's the dinners is what everybody goes for. And everybody was kind of starved for some human companionship, I think, after 2.5 years of this stupid pandemic.
Why?
So there's a lot of legal stuff coming down in the last week or so. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention. One of the biggest
CCPA, I
ones
know.
is Gonzalez versus Google's being heard by the Supreme Court.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure that I disagree with the way this might go, because the lawsuit's primarily based on the Google, Facebook, and all them's responsibility, not so much for the content on the website, but the content they promote.
Yes.
And that's become the issue. And that's kind of been my issue with these platforms all along. I want to see what I follow. I don't want to see all this random shit that you think I might maybe want to follow,
Mhm.
you know, and at the cost of me seeing who the people I want to see. That's, you know, it's not you see everybody you follow plus a few extras. It's you see a couple of people you follow and a whole lot of random crap.
Yeah.
And
And every third one is an ad.
yeah,
Now you're talking more about Facebook than Google, right?
well, they're also talking about, I'm not sure, I haven't read all of it, but basically the reason Google was brought in is because I think this is a really old lawsuit, first of all. I don't know how long they've been fighting this. But, you know, Google's always used the excuse of it's not our fault that you saw this thing in our search results. It's what the algorithm does. And the response on that is maybe not.
Who wrote the algorithm?
Because the algorithms are not blind. They obviously have a bent to them based on who programmed them or what learning sets
Mhm.
that were used with them. And my only regret on all of this is, you know, the fact that it is at the Supreme Court and not one of those people is actually fluent in technology.
Yeah, well, it's
Here's
just like,
what I
remember
see
when they
it-
interviewed Zuckerberg in Congress?
God, that was funny.
It was sad and hilarious. Yeah. Some of the
You-
stupid ass questions those people,
Yeah.
clueless idiots, were asking. And even, you know, I was almost sympathetic for Zuck, and let me tell you, that's a stretch. But
Yeah.
to see him having to try to keep a straight face during some of those questions was amazing.
I would have failed.
Big difference between Google's algorithms and Facebook's
Yeah.
is Facebook's algorithms are done so that people repeatedly see stuff that
Yeah.
has a
And
bad
Twitter.
effect on them.
You know, Twitter's the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
basically, I don't know if calling it, I mean, the name of the case is versus Google, but it's going to have far wider effects.
Well, it could certainly become precedent, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Facebook's basically had their own people call them out on the personalization, what they're doing with personalization and how it brings bad content or, malicious content
Sure.
to the forefront. They've already been proven to be doing what these people are talking about.
And the same thing with
Google, I
Twitter.
believe it's a stretch.
Twitter does the same thing, and Google does do this to a certain extent with
Personalization.
with their personalization and certain types of topic filters. It can be a real challenge, even if you know exactly what you're looking for, to find certain things in Google
Oh, yeah.
because they don't want to show them to.
They want to show you other shit, yeah.
Well, it's not going to show a person who's, far left. They're not going to show them right-wing stuff like that. That's just not going to happen. It did in the old days. That's what I liked about it.
Well, yeah,
saw
exactly.
both sides of a story.
Well,
Personalization became such an echo chamber
Yeah.
of reinforcement.
I thought 2 or 3 years ago, I thought that it was likely that at some point there was going to be some regulators come out and say, okay, you have to provide users a laundry list of opt-in, opt-out.
Mhm.
And I think they should be opt-in, okay?
Oh,
Not
yeah.
opt-out. But to where you can say, okay, I don't want my search history, or I do want my search history, but I don't want my locale, or, you can select all the different criteria that you do or do not want included in your search. Now, that,
Mhm.
I can't imagine, I don't know enough about how many cycles they're needing to process a given search. If they have 1 million people an hour searching a term, and they have to filter the results for those million queries differently for each one, I would expect that's probably going to be a hell of a burden to satisfy.
I don't care.
Well, I mean, I understand, and I kind of don't either, but
There's
I wonder if it's actually doable, if it's a feasible thing to accomplish.
But that's, the problem there becomes, okay, fine. Don't show the top 1,000,000 results. Show the top 100
Yeah,
or top 200.
Yeah.
Make their search results somewhat useful. There's absolutely no use in saying, this is page 1 of 1,789 pages.
Right.
Who gives a crap? That none of that matters.
And that is what may happen in the future,
Mhm.
is they'll only have the 200 good pages, all the rest, who cares? Because it doesn't work in their language.
Well,
Hell,
In the
show me-
LLM.
show me 10.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
one
Who needs
page.
more than
Just
10?
give
If
me
10
10
are the 10 best.
I mean,
So-
just 10 results on one page with a little checkbox in the back. Show me the next 10 results. Show me the next 10 results.
I was doing some client research yesterday, and the first 20, because now we're on infinite scroll everywhere. Out of the first 20 listings, 4 of them were natural search.
Yeah.
8 were direct
Bravo,
ads.
Steve.
There were
Good.
2 image blocks. There was a big Etsy, Amazon block. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, it's not search anymore.
No.
It's a flat out shopping platform in a lot of niches and a lot of search terms.
It's a search engine with a tech crunch mentality towards that.
And what else is going on? TikTok. Congress just voted to give Biden the power to ban TikTok. And TikTok's already been banned on official devices in the EU.
In Canada.
Yeah. And it's going to probably be, and that's, I don't see them banning TikTok completely. They can't.
Steve.
They can ban it off of official devices, though.
Yeah. See, China bans it in their own country.
Yeah.
Very limited use of TikTok by kids in China. Like, it's really monitored heavily.
TikTok in China is completely different than TikTok here.
Sure it is.
In China, it's educational.
Yeah.
Here,
Well,
here
one
it's
could say that it is in the US too.
Well, yeah. Yeah, this is true. But
The US is the dumbed down version.
I don't think it can get much dumber. And then what else?
There's fence posts dumb.
Dell and a couple hardware companies finally beat one of the patent trolls. They was suing them over cloud computing and cloud storage. And instead of just paying the, $1 million or $100 million or whatever it was to make the lawsuit go away, the Dell and a couple of other companies stood up and went, yeah, no, we're fighting you from now on. And hopefully these patent trolls will eventually go out of business, because their entire business model revolves around buying up as many patents as they can and then suing as many people as they can. And what they did with Dell is they fired like 22 lawsuits at them on the same day, with the intent of going, here's 22 lawsuits you're going to have to deal with now, or you can pay this one fee and we'll go away. And
Make it so it's not as profitable and they won't do it.
I would love it to be not profitable at all, because the whole idea of patents has been so corrupted.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. The time frame on patents should be like a year, 2 years at the
What's
most.
strange is that the criteria of what is considered patentable
Mhm.
is often ignored. People are being allowed to patent things
Yeah.
that the patent law does not allow to be patented. Like, for instance, just to be very vague, an idea. You can't patent an idea, yet people have. We're going to take the output of this machine and the output of this analysis and combine them to provide this result, and I want to patent it. Okay.
Well, how the hell does Amazon get that 3-click patent? That's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
And yet they could shut down half the probably
Yeah.
all the e-commerce on the web by just saying, you know what? If you're doing it in 3 clicks, you're out of luck. You got to pay us now.
I always thought that's why some of the shopping carts made you click. Here's your address. Here's your payment. Here's your verification. Here's, you're 4 or 5 clicks in just to check out.
Here's the second digit of your zip code. Yeah.
But actually, their patent isn't that. It's about how many clicks it takes to get to the product
Right.
that you're going to purchase, which is good design. So that's like patenting good design.
Yeah, an
Right.
idea. I'm sorry, that just doesn't fly. If you read patent law, that doesn't even come close to being allowed.
Yeah, but it's freaking lawyers. That's what happens when lawyers are in charge.
It's not transformative.
Or innovative. It stifles innovation.
Or non-obvious. There's so much that got patented. It's like, well, I mean, what was that old one where the guy, to prove a point in Australia, patented the wheel?
Yeah,
They went right through.
because nobody else ever had.
Right. It's like, you have got to be kidding me. I think we can find some prior art somewhere. It's possible. Yeah. What else was there? Oh, and the Twitter killer launched today. Invite only. Blue Sky.
And who's
Jack
behind
Dorsey. Jack Dorsey.
that? Oh,
Yeah.
is he going to have a verification tick mark for sale?
Well, right now you can't even get into it unless you're invited.
Good.
To Twitter?
Blue Sky.
Oh,
I
Blue.
think I'm just going to start boycotting anything that you have to have an invite to see it.
I'm very close to just blowing off Facebook. And I blew off Twitter
Yeah.
years ago. But it's gotten to be ludicrous.
Well, didn't Facebook last week blow up one of the SEO groups, private SEO groups?
They did. They took out all the moderators, gave them permanent lifetime bans. Ammon was one. Adam Humphreys was one. Michael Martinez was one.
Well, permanent lifetime bans.
Lifetime ban. You're out. You cannot use our platform anymore because somebody was saying something and it was a large group. Okay. Some member was saying something that they didn't like. So they killed the group and banned all the moderators and, of course, the admin. And I don't even remember which group it was now. Adam would remember.
Yeah, it's one of the quote secret SEO groups that,
Uh,
from what I understand, it was a pretty small group, relatively speaking, but
well, it wasn't
just-
like Steve Kang's group, you know. It was,
well, see,
So-
and here's the bitch up.
How can they allow these conspiracy groups to flourish, and they shut down an SEO group because they said?
Well, and that's just it. And it's like, wait a minute. If somebody inside a group is writing things that Facebook does not like, Facebook can monitor that, and they do. They could have just stopped that one person who was doing the thing they didn't like. Instead, they blew up the group and all the admins. Well, by that rule, if Facebook allows anything to be published that violates U.S. law, the U.S. government can blow up Facebook and shut it down entirely because you did something we don't like. And I mean, the rules on Facebook have gotten very draconian. Somebody got a 30-day timeout because they were having an academic discussion about World War II. And one of the pictures he shared was with Hitler in it. Instant suspension. I mean, within a minute.
Okay, so they thought that it was a Nazi group. That's just shitty algorithms.
Yeah, it is. It's 100% shitty algorithm, because that was what got me my 30-day suspension. Was I shared a meme that I got on Facebook that had a picture of Hitler in it because it was fucking hysterical. I laughed my ass off when I saw it, so I shared it in a private, not safe for work group, and I got a 30-day penalty for it. And it's like, but I got it here. I don't understand.
Got it on Facebook.
And they're like, well, it violates our community standards as hate speech. And I'm like, did you even look at it? Because this is far from hate. It's the other side of that.
yeah. I reported a post several years ago, back when he was just still running for office, Barack Obama. Somebody posted in the open on Facebook calling him a jigaboo. And I reported it. And I get the response back, does not violate our community standard. What fucking standard? You've got no standards. Unless the only standard applies to what involves billable clicks on Facebook ads, you know?
Now, I remember Ammon saying that for some reason, Facebook wanted him to supply his identification.
Yeah.
To get back on, and he said, no way, I'm not showing you ID to get on Facebook. Was that part of him getting banned, Steve?
No, that was
that
his
was
attempt.
something else.
That was him trying to get reinstated, investigating why he got banned.
Oh, okay.
No, he said, fuck you very much. You know, sorry, ain't gonna happen.
So let's make him jump through big hoops to get back on as well. Yeah. See, that's why I don't invest any time in Facebook.
Well, I use it a lot more than Twitter.
If it wasn't for work.
It's just gotten ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there isn't any real regulation at present. And typically, at least down here in the US, typically once we come to the realization that there needs to be some regulation, we're going to go way overboard.
On the other side, yep.
And, you know, and it'll kill. And
What is this?
there's not
Moderation.
insignificant number of folks in the government that would really like to see the internet go away.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder how much Facebook is giving in dollars to the parties to get rid of TikTok. They could spend billions and make it back probably the first month.
Yeah.
Oh, it's called lobbyists, right?
Yeah.
Not bribes.
Lobbyist is some Middle European term which translates to corruption.
Yeah. It's just frustrating because, I mean, yeah, we're seeing the same problem with Google business profiles now, where they've gone so far to the extreme of, you know, if you move into a high rise that also allows virtual offices, They're just going to assume you're a virtual office. And they're going to knock out and suspend your profile listing. And trying to explain to somebody, not all clients are capable of doing a video verification when they're halfway across the country and they're not tech people.
I wonder how many people got laid off in that department.
Well, and by that train of thought, Steve, what about if I move into a little 4-story downstairs downtown building, and my
Mhm.
lawyer's office on the 3rd floor, I rent the entire 3rd floor, but the ground floor is a bar or restaurant.
Right.
So are they going to refuse to believe that I'm an attorney? Now I'm a bar or a restaurant?
I don't know.
Makes
I don't
as much
understand
sense.
it.
I never understood any of that because virtual offices and remote offices were around before the freaking internet.
Oh yeah.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
God,
They're
I
part of
had
business.
one. I rented one back in the 70s, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They've been around a long time.
I really think it's more of that. We have so many listings, we just don't care.
Yeah, there you go.
We don't.
Yeah.
We as long as we're mostly accurate, that's all that matters. Because there's no competition to compete against us anyway.
I think you nailed it.
Well,
And-
the other thing that I've always argued is an office space, right, where you're just renting space, has a receptionist there all the time. Most service area business, there is nobody that you can go and see them anytime.
That's right.
So, it's actually a better situation. Yeah, I never understood that. And it's not just because I worked in that business. I never understood why it was such a big deal. Mainly because the people in local SEO are so vocal about it because they're going against their little guys who they can't compete with.
Mm.
Which
Well, I
brings
think-
us to the FCC, which I forgot all about.
Oh yeah.
They are looking at regulating and making it a violation to distribute or share or sell client data across the board.
Long overdue, overdue.
And I know a lot of people who are starting to freak out because their entire business model is lead gen.
Yep.
And this will wipe out lead gen entirely.
However, I would count. I do think it's time for something like that. But I would say
Agreed.
that having the FCC be the regulating body makes about as much sense as appointing the Girl Scouts of America to do it. The
Right.
FCC is so fucking mismanaged from the
Oh, yeah.
inside that
Wow.
to put them in charge of something like that could have $1 trillion impact to our economy makes
Yeah.
zero sense. Somebody's too lazy to form a new
Well,
body.
why put them in charge of new laws when they don't even enforce the ones
Exactly.
out there? Like, look at affiliate links should have never happened.
They don't
because
even
they're advertisements and it's hidden.
they don't even understand themselves the existing laws, Terry.
Right.
No, that's
And
not-
if you ask them a question about one, when you get, because I had a friend who got raked over the coals with them. You're in violation of what? Well, you're doing this, but what does that violate? What is the regulation that says it's a
Yeah.
fucking secret? There are
Yeah.
none.
We
It's
can't
internal-
tell you.
It's
But here's
internal
your
policy.
fine.
I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you, kind of thing.
Well, the other day I'm on Bing, right? Using the new thing, and I'm looking at where are the ads. This is definitely an ad. I'm looking right at it. Then I click the little arrow button type thing, and
Mhm.
what does it say? Learn how we choose ads for you. Didn't even say it was an ad. It said, learn how we're gonna choose them.
Well, I think these lead gen affiliate people brought it on themselves for the most part.
Yeah,
By
for
abuse.
Because
Yeah.
they have abused the technology so heavily. Like we were having a discussion about, and I was trying to explain to somebody, you don't have to hit the submit button on a form anymore for me to already have your data.
Oh yeah, as soon as you click a key in the block,
As
They've got
soon, because we're recording everything we can't have the ability to record every single field as it's being entered, whether you hit submit or not. And one of the things that stood out in the discussion we were having was somebody was filling out one of those insurance quote forms. And before he finished it filling out, he got his first phone call
Roll call.
from one of the insurance companies wanting to sell him.
Lead's already gone out.
Somebody's on the ball, huh?
As soon as he typed in his name and his phone number,
That was all.
it was already sold.
Yeah.
And
Jesus, right.
that's what's getting them in trouble, because people are tired of it. Because especially because once you get on one of those lists, they
You can't
don't
get off.
stop.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you've got the people who bought it first, who bought it fresh. Then you get the people who buy it second, not quite as fresh. Then you get the people who buy it later as part of a bulk purchase. So the guy who harvested your data to begin with sold it 3 times. And who knows how many people sold it on the other end.
Yeah.
It is just
and
wrong.
within that niche, about 5 years ago, if not more, I went online looking for comparative car insurance quotes just to see if Providian was still the cheapest
Mhm.
or Progressive rather. And I started getting, and I'm still getting 2 or 3 a week automotive insurance quotes. My driver's license expired 7 years ago and I have no need to renew it because I don't drive. So come on, people. So it's been sold how many times?
Yeah.
And they're always new people. They're
Right.
new companies and new email addresses. It's not like somebody is just going to keep hammering me 117 times till I finally talk to them just to shut them up. No, it's getting sold. And I'm
Yeah.
getting quotes from car insurance companies located in Chiang Mai. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not sure you're licensed to sell car insurance in California.
Oh my gosh. I know long ago, this was in the 80s, was the last time I dealt with lead list things. And it was for calling and investment calling. And most of the leads that we got were not good. I mean, they didn't.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well,
I was like, why are you spending money on these leads? Because they're useless. Just because you have a name doesn't mean it's targeted in any way.
We just went through that with a client a few months ago, Doc.
Yep.
Where, there's a question about whether the leads are good or not, and I always go back to that old movie where he's showing off his Rolex. It's like, I'm a closer. You're not. You don't get free coffee. And it can be an issue where, the leads are somewhat junk, but it could also be the sales guys on the other end. It could be really frustrating if you can't. I mean, nobody wants to be sold to, first of all. Everybody hates that. So you have to be a little less aggressive. It's not sales 101 from the 70s anymore. But I keep seeing it get recycled as if it's a new idea.
Sales 101.
Well, the aggressive sales tactics.
Yeah. So how are you today, Steve? My standard answer to that one is I don't do rapport building. What do you want?
Yeah, I get my favorite ones are the Google ads guys. They are so aggressive, and they will not give you any information in an email because it's against their policy. And it's like, I don't care. If you really wanted to help me, you would help me in the way that I want to be helped.
There you go.
Well, no, we have to do this via voice. And I'm like, so you don't have a track record, so you have no paper trail. I'm like, well, everything's recorded. It's like, it's recorded by you, but it's not recorded by me. Where's my proof of what was said and
You
done?
can record it.
Well, and I've done that before too, and they get a little nervous when you do that.
Yeah.
But now my standard answer is send it to me an email, and then I submit their phone number as a spam number to AT&T and never hear from them again. And that's why so many Google phone numbers come up as spam, because I'm not the only one doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Good ideas do spread.
Yes, they do. Those people, it's frustrating because I've seen so much damage done to ads accounts on Facebook and Google by these ads reps.
They're terrible.
The,
Nine
the
times
problem,
out of 10, they'll tell you to send all the traffic to the homepage.
well, my biggest issue with them is the way they assign clients, because your entry level ads people are going to be assigned people with almost no budget. And those people are generally the people who can least afford to have somebody screw things up.
Yep.
That's where it's
But-
most likely to happen.
But they're the people that Google can most afford losing if they really get screwed up.
Exactly. And if you can get their sales up, or if you can get them spending more money and you hit certain KPIs, then you get promoted to the next level and you get slightly bigger clients and slightly bigger clients. I've worked with a couple of people at the high end who are really good at what they do, but they are so few and far between. And then they call the clients and they throw a fit with, oh, well, your ads guy's really screwing things up. And it's like, no.
What?
Oh, yeah. We've
They-
heard some
Oh
horrible-
my
They
God.
call
horrible
clients
story.
that
I would be
complain about-
super
Oh,
good.
yeah. If you don't talk to them, because they know who's logging in and out of the account the most.
Right?
So I generally get those phone calls. And if I ignore them enough times, they start going down the list of other people who have access to the account. Yeah. And they'll go, well, you need to talk to our ads guy. So, well, I tried to, and he wouldn't talk to me. And these are the areas where he's really screwing things up and costing you money.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, Steve, I didn't know that happened.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't happen a lot, but it happens more often than it should.
Well,
Doesn't
sure.
happen
There's
at all.
no
never-
recourse. You have
Should-
absolutely no recourse because there's nobody to report these people to.
Whoa.
You can't even, there's not even, like, you get each one of them for a quarter, sometimes 2 quarters. And then when they're done, they move on. But you're never given a way to review them or review the interaction with them ever. Where everything else in the
But
world,
they recorded it.
yeah, of course they recorded it, but nobody's listening to it unless there's a problem.
Yeah, unless they get sued.
And
If
generally,
there's If there's a
One of the
problem,
big
somebody will
questions-
point the finger at you.
yeah, one of the big questions they will ask is, it's like, well, is it okay if I go ahead and make these changes to your account for you?
No.
And that's what they need the recording for, is getting you to say yes. Because once you've given them permission to go in and make changes to the account, they're going to go and make changes to the account.
And they're not going to be.
Not
to your
always what they
favor.
told you they were going to do. Yeah, I'm not happy with them on a lot of
I
levels.
would be very not happy.
Might not have to worry about them soon, Steve. Might be out of business.
4 more years. 4 more years.
I mean, Google
Max.
might be out
Oh.
of business.
Yeah. No, I want to be out of business.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Well, you can accelerate that process, Steve. Just start listening to your Google Ads rep.
Yeah. Yep.
They can help you with that.
Maybe I can convince my wife to get a job as a Walmart greeter or something.
Ooh.
Walmart have greeters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You walk through the door, they say hello. Welcome to Walmart.
If you're lucky, they know where the thing is you're looking for in the store.
Yeah. I never ask.
I always do.
I know where the toys are. I can find the toy section just fine all by myself. It's, important to have priorities. It's funny, whenever my wife goes shopping, because the nearest grocery store for us is a Walmart. And whenever she goes, well, I'm going to go shopping, it's like, I'll go with you. And she goes, yeah. Because she knows as soon as we hit the door, I'm going right and she's going left. And then I find her somewhere else in the store and drop a bunch of crap in the cart. It's just like taking a kid shopping.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds an awful lot like a young mother taking her toddler out to
Yep.
the.
I haven't had to throw myself down on the floor and scream in a while, though.
Oh.
That would go
Oh.
over very well.
I'd pay good money to see that.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Yeah.
But I want it.
Dave has one.
That's a little bit older. Toddlers are just into I want it.
Yeah.
I remember one time I woke up and my daughter had taken a cottage cheese carton, the little carton of cottage cheese, and she had smeared the cottage cheese all over the table, all over the kitchen floor, everywhere.
Oh God.
And there was not a happy mommy who woke up to that. And she was going, I want to spill it. I want to spill it. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You're-
When our daughter was young and my wife was doing a lot of her Air Force duty and was gone a lot, that left me alone to come up with creative solutions to child rearing.
Uh-huh.
And being a dad and an artist, I decided that instead of getting mad when she wrote all over the walls, I just went out and bought several large rolls of brown butcher paper and repapered all the walls. And it's like, here you go. Everywhere where there's brown paper on the wall, have at it. Have a good time. And about every 2 weeks, I'd replace the roll of brown paper with another blank sheet. And
then when
That's pretty
Diane
cool.
comes home and complains about the brown paper all over the walls, you go out and you buy a few rolls of white freezer paper.
go. Yeah. I'm a big fan of letting kids be messy.
Yeah, I am too,
Well,
but
it's not like
cottage
you're gonna
cheese
get
all
away from
over
it.
was a little bit out of my
Yeah, that-
parameters.
We've always had dogs, so that was never a problem either.
Oh yeah, we didn't have our dog yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
you could have
Yeah.
a very happy dog with that.
Our dogs learned very quickly that at dinner time you sit around the high chair.
Yep.
There's
My
been more than
daughter
one.
was high chair age. Well, we had an Irish Wolfhound and she wasn't allowed in the dining room, so we didn't have to deal with all that stuff.
Right.
And my daughter's in the high chair and she's got to pee, and the pee drops on the floor, and this giant dog is sneaking very slow across the edge of the dining room.
Maybe she won't see me.
Maybe they won't notice, but I saw that pee and I'm going for it.
Yeah.
It was hysterical.
Yeah, no, we've had incidences where stuff gets dropped on top of one dog's head and the other dog's licking their head. Oh yeah, it's just it's Comedy Central.
I love it.
High chair age is pretty much Comedy Central anyway, so.
Yeah. Let's see.
I have a
What else?
question. Something came up. So I wrote an article with the headings, etc., all the stuff. Anyway, and I submitted it. And then they're like, okay, cool, it's up on the website. And I go and look at it on the website. And there's a misspelled word in one of the headings, right? In a subheading. And believe it or not, this is for a digital marketing agency. The misspelled word was copywriting, which was spelled RIGHTING. And I said, you get one chance to make a first impression.
And you shot yours. Yeah.
And, this is about copywriting and it's misspelled incorrectly. And I went back and looked at my document to make sure I hadn't done something stupid, because this is always possible, and nope, it's spelled correctly. And I said, and the other thing is, when you post that up on Google and Google cares about grammar and spelling and all that kind of stuff, Google doesn't come back later to see, oh, I wonder if they fixed that error. You know, it's like the first time they look, it's what they see, you know?
Actually, they would see that it's changed.
If they look, yeah.
If they
If
look.
they crawl the page.
When would the next time be for that, Terry?
Anywhere from a week to 10 years.
Yeah, it could be never.
That's what I mean, you know, so why take that chance? And
And
so-
that's probably the first step towards never is.
and it is the first step towards never. Anyway,
Right.
it was like,
But
so
I'm sure your content was at least helpful, which is.
my content was helpful and it was actually spelled correctly and syntax checked and grammar checked. And I used 3 different grammar, syntax, spelling
Yeah,
checkers.
Did you put a unique stuff in there?
Yeah, unique stuff.
Unique ideas and points of view?
Yes, well, that could only come from my warped brain, yes.
Hmm.
So that's not the issue, you know, I'm not talking
Well,
about
having a warped brain always helps.
the issue.
We
for
tend
me-
to look at things differently, Czar, and that gets.
I know.
At least, at least for
my
entertainment value, you know?
Yeah,
It's my cursed
nothing
blessing. So, but you know, I just like, how did this happen? Anyway, I was just curious because yeah, they look at it right away, but it's the look of the draw whether they're ever going to look at it again.
Well, that's the thing, that, from one site to another, the periodicity at which they would even come back and see if anything has changed, is it worth crawling again? Does it need to be crawled again? Can vary dramatically. It could be a week. It could be, in minutes or hours on the New York Times, and be a decade on some little mommy blog,
Yep.
And it's so many things that affect that. And the other thing is, if they found something like that the first time and did come back, let's say a month later, and recrawl it and found that same error to still exist, you can almost be certain that the next revisit, if there is one, is not going to be a month again. It's probably going to be 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, because
Yeah.
they're going to stretch. If they don't see any improvement on things, they're not going to come back as often. How many steps that may extend to, we don't know. It's a crapshoot.
So this is for my own knowledge. This is for my own knowledge because they have interesting ideas about SEO. I
Your
mean,
SEO should know that.
Yeah.
that's the problem, Terry.
He doesn't look at the right things because he's too busy counting links and what else.
How many words? How many times the
Words are on a page.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
yeah.
That's the dumbest thing I've
It's
heard
really
in a
sad,
long
and they
time.
don't want to. It's very sad. Yeah,
That's cookie cutter SEO.
it is.
I've recently become far more direct
What do you?
with clients when it comes to stuff like this. I no longer couch things as, well, okay, this may be useful in this scenario, blah, 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 trying to give people an out. I don't
Yeah.
do that anymore. I just,
Now
this is
that's
stupid.
bullshit.
Yeah. Not only is it stupid, but it's so stupid, I lost brain cells looking at it. Here's what they've done wrong, and here's why.
If you were
And
twice as smart as you are now, you'd still only be half as smart as a rug mat, as a doormat.
yeah, I mean, and it's frustrating because it's a problem we've had in this industry since the beginning.
Mhm.
Anybody can claim they know what they're doing, and there's no proof. There's no way to show.
Right.
You know.
Those are the clients. As soon as a guy I know is reading stuff all the time and sending me stuff to read, the first time they do it, I write them back and say, okay,
Don't
I
do
will
this.
read this. I will ignore it, and I'm going to charge you to do it if you want to continue to do these things. Hire him if you
Yeah.
want his ideas. You hired me. Got to put them in their place right away. Guys like that. They're the worst clients on earth. Like they'll give a guy new in the
Fortunately, they
business.
don't do
Yeah.
that. It's just that internally, this is the way they do it, and they are not open to becoming current. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Or some people got to have their hands on everything, even if they don't know anything about it.
And Steve will say, I'm all for throwing people under the bus if they're idiots.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that.
I just tell them,
Because
I've
eventually-
spent 28 years learning how to do this. Why should I go and read some guy that I've never heard of?
How many
If it
times
was
did I
worth
call?
reading, I'd already have read it.
How many times did I shout out, we needed to have a come to Jesus meeting with that client, Steve?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And it's crazy. It's what it is. Unfortunately, I'm just done being nice about it.
That's easier to do as you get closer to retirement.
There you go.
Yeah. This is
Okay,
true.
Steve, I have an important question for you.
Sure.
Have ever been nice about it?
I have. I've been very nice a lot of times. I can be
Yeah.
quite diplomatic. I've never been a huge fan of burning bridges, although I do like to watch them sparkle at night while they're on fire. But okay, and just the last few weeks, I sent out a parting ways email to a client. It was one of those very lengthy, it's not me, it's you emails. And just told them we were done as of the first of the month. And less than 2 hours later, I got a call back from the CEO, a long conversation. I got a small raise and have been made dictator in charge of everything.
Stop.
So, so there's some value in not completely throwing people under the bus.
Yeah.
Because I could have just as easily gone, full tilt, our friend on Facebook, like he did to that poor guy.
Yeah.
And I could have easily gone full tilt and would have, burned that bridge with that client forever. And instead, I wound up getting the client back with a bump in pay and all the other stuff. And it's like, okay, we'll see how this goes. We'll give it another month because I'm still willing to walk away. But it's always under my rules and my conditions when it comes to this stuff, because I've been doing this for 2.5 decades, almost 3. This is pretty damn close to 3 decades now. I kind of know what I'm doing. And it gets frustrating when it's always the smaller clients that are the problem.
Yeah.
Always.
I get a laugh out of seeing, for lack of a better word, these SEO kids that have never had to optimize for anything other than Google. I can't wait to see what happens when there's 5 different chat GPT type things and 3 search engines. They won't know whether to shit or wind their watch, most of them.
It's I don't want to say it's frustrating, but it's kind of the nature of the beast these days.
Yep.
There have been, and because the internet is forever, you've got people who are reading internet tactics that worked very well 12, 15, 20 years ago.
That's right.
And they aren't, and since nobody ever put dates on anything because they thought that was a bad idea, I've had clients call me and go, I just bought 17 new domain names. How do we redirect these to the homepage to make it to help? And it's like,
Oh, God.
And I would say, well, we could go back in time 20 years, and that would be a really good strategy.
yeah. Well, and I've, it's like I had to give a mini course on what's a PBN to a client recently because that was exactly what they wanted to do. And I'm like, it's a good tactic, but there's a proper way to do it and a bad way to do it. And the bad way to do it is cheap and easy and it's bad. The proper way to do it is building legitimate websites with legitimate, instead of having 5 or 6 content silos on your website, you now have 5 or 6 websites, each with its own content silo. it's a completely different beast. And it's like, okay, well, what's it going to cost us to do that? I said, well, 6 times what you're spending now,
At least.
because it has to be done 6 more times.
And you have to
Oh.
promote 6 sites to
Yeah.
get.
And you got to
Oh, well,
maintain them.
that's a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have
Yes,
to
it is a lot of
maintain the sites. Yeah,
You
6
can't
sites.
just
would
throw
be
them up there
happy
and
to
forget
do it.
about them. Yeah.
You know, now instead of writing 2 pieces of content a week, you're writing 12 pieces of content a week.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, you can't really use the same writers for all of it because you need slightly different voices. And yeah, and I get it. The clients they need to have things explained to them in a way that makes sense. It's hard, and fortunately, most clients are willing to listen. Until Timmy's nephew's next door neighbor's cousin comes in and says, "I can do that for $12." You're being ripped off.
Oh, I
Yeah,
had
the
one,
thing that-
Sarah, I had a client, I don't know, this must have been about 4 or 5 years ago. It was not a long relationship, but anyway, he had his SEO person who had been with him for 15 years or whatever it was, you know. And so this SEO person was coming in with all this stuff that was 10 years old. And I was saying, you know, if you it was all about category pages and products and stuff. And I'm like, you know, that's just not how it works anymore.
Yeah. It's got to keep up with the times, folks.
Yeah, well, there were other problems. I
Yeah.
said, you know, when I search your business on Google, the first thing that comes up is complaints by the BBB at the BBB. You know, you have to go, you can't ignore those complaints. You have to go resolve them.
Yeah.
And I don't know, 8 months after that, I looked and none of them had been resolved, but I wasn't working with them
Yeah,
anymore.
but that could be on the BBB. They're crooks, right? They're crooks.
Yeah, they are. But you know, when
They are Yelp on steroids.
And they didn't, the
That's
thing is, they
correct.
didn't used to be.
No.
Nope. But the one in Toronto, there's no BBB in Toronto because they were shut down for fraudulent activity.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's
Yeah.
I
hysterical.
love
Yeah.
it.
That's
That
ironic, eh?
is hysterical.
Yeah. A joke. They came after me, and as soon as I said, yeah, well, the one here, there's no thing because it got shut down for fraud, right? They left me alone after that. My claim suddenly was good. The guy who complained against me was a competitor who was just thinking he could be an asshole.
Right.
I understand that happens on Yelp too. The
Well,
computers,
A lot.
kind of stuff.
Yelp is it's more like the mafia than the
I
social
call Yelp an e-cancer. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, e-canker. They're a
Yeah.
canker sore on the asshole of the internet.
Oh, man.
And boy, once you make the mistake of even talking to them and then deciding no, you're never going to hear the end of it.
But the good thing is that really hurt them because they used to have a lot more coverage at Google than they do now. And that's part of it.
Good.
They used to be backfiller before Google had its own business profile.
Which is now becoming backfiller.
Yeah.
Full circle, eh?
Full circle. Yeah. It is certainly an issue. They've got a lot of power these days.
My understanding is that Angie, who's a conglomerate of a whole bunch of other service listings and stuff, does very similar tactics, where you sign up and all of a sudden your bill is quadrupled and nobody's told you that you signed up for stuff and,
Yeah. Back when it was Angie's List, it was a pretty
Oh,
cool thing.
Angie's probably no longer even affiliated with it.
Yeah,
Right.
I think they got bought a long time ago.
Yeah, they got
Oh.
beat.
Yeah,
bought
they
by
did.
one
They
of the
got
big
bought a
boys.
long time ago. Yeah.
They just
and-
rebranded too. They dropped the S off it.
Yes, ANGI now.
Yeah, Angie List instead of Angie.
It's not even list because they own
Oh,
Angie,
right.
they own homeowner something or other. I mean, they
Yeah.
own several big things like that.
Yeah,
They
back in the day,
rebranded.
Angie's List was a very useful site.
It was in the beginning, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's like, when a company gets purchased and they say, we're buying you because we really love what you do and nothing's going to change. And then 18 months later,
That-
one
that-
by one, everybody's gone.
That's when a CEO replaces the founder, who was just somebody who could write HTML and got lucky.
Yeah. My son's had that happen to him 3 times at places he worked. They get purchased by a larger organization and they always say that, that stuff,
Nothing's going to change.
nothing's gonna
Fully
change.
autonomous.
Yeah, we bought you because we love what you do.
Yeah,
18 months
get
later,
out your
all
resume.
gone.
Get
I
out
would-
your resume.
And I was just reading a book about the game industry and LucasArts when they got bought by Disney. And it's like, oh no, we want to keep the LucasArts game company going because of all the good things you guys have done in the past. And then it's like, well, now we're trying to license out some of the Star Wars game titles, and now we're just shutting down LucasArts entirely now. And good luck. And it took like less than a year to run through that whole process from we don't want to change anything to you're all fired.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
usually 12 months to 18 months and it's all gone.
They just don't want people to quit before they've replaced them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as those words come out, it's like time to go.
Yeah, get out your resume.
Time to run.
Anything else come up this week before we wrap this up?
Yeah, anybody wants to learn Python, look up JC Chouinard has a really good site tutorials for SEO Python for SEO.
Who is
Really
this?
good. JC Chouinard is the guy's
Oh,
name.
okay.
I think had never heard of him before, but he seems to be pretty well known.
Name rings a bell.
I don't have a bell to get rung. That's the problem.
Looks like he's been rung a few too many times.
By the way, just a quick mention of something for a friend. Michael Martinez was one of those that got hit in the Facebook lifetime ban thing because of being a moderator on a comment they didn't like in some group. And I got a friend request from him yesterday with a different headshot, which automatically made it suspect. I went and looked and he had 8 friends. I said, okay, he's been cloned. And I tried reaching out to him on his old account, which is no longer working. So I didn't do anything. I didn't report it and I didn't connect. And then he posted this morning that he had gotten banned. And so he started a new account. This is the new account. And it was the one I got the friend request on. So anybody that didn't happen to see his post, if you get a friend request from Michael Martinez, it is probably legitimate. Unless some schmuck takes an opportunity to go ahead and clone him right now. And
Since you've given him a heads up.
Michael's always worth listening to. He makes some great points. Doesn't always do it diplomatically, I'll give him, but
Yeah.
neither do
No.
we either. But he's a sharp cookie. And that brings us to the top of the hour. Anybody got anything earth shattering going on this week?
No,
No,
More of the
Not
same.
here.
huh?
work.
My hockey team's changed 6 of the 18 players
Ooh,
in the last
Wow.
2 days.
wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
But they're a better team for it, so I'm looking forward to the games.
Yeah, they will be once they learn how to play together. That should have
Yeah.
the coach puckering a little bit.
Yeah, most of them, yeah. Not the important guys. They're all secondary guys.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know you liked hockey, Terry.
Oh, no, not at all.
I think it's a
We
law.
If you, my Twitter followers must wonder about me because I tweet more about hockey than I do about SEO.
Hey, priorities, bro. All right. Well, I guess that's going to wrap us for the day. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good week.
We'll see you next week. And if you're listening out there, Bob, Bill Slosky's brother, who's a regular